Tran Hung Giao, the general who defeated an empire. Long ago, in the 13th century, Vietnam faced one of the greatest dangers in its history. At that time, the Mongol Empire was the most powerful empire the world had ever seen. Its armies moved fast. They were disciplined, fearless, and nearly unstoppable. They had conquered vast lands across Asia and Europe. Many strong kingdoms had already fallen before them. Vietnam was small. Its population was limited. Its resources were modest. Yet against all expectations, Vietnam defeated the Mongol Empire, not once, not twice, but 3 times. At the heart of this incredible story stood one man. His name was Tran Hung Giao, a man born into conflict. Tran Hung Giao was born as Tran Quoc Tuan into the royal Tran family. But his early life was shaped by conflict. His father, Tran Liu, had a deep personal grievance against the ruling king. Before his death, Tran Liu told his son something dangerous. He asked Tran Quoc Tuan to one day take revenge and reclaim the throne. This request placed a heavy burden on the young man's heart. On one side, there was personal loyalty to his father. On the other side, there was loyalty to the nation. Tran Quoc Tuan spent years reflecting on this conflict. In the end, he made a choice that would define his life. He chose Vietnam over personal ambition. He chose unity over revenge. This decision would later save the nation. A leader who understood people. As he grew older, Tran Quoc Tuan became known not only for his intelligence, but also for his character. He respected the scholars. He listened to soldiers. He treated common people with kindness. Unlike many generals of his time, he believed that an army's strength came from the people. He trained his troops carefully. He studied geography, weather, and enemy psychology. Most importantly, he understood one critical truth. To defeat a stronger enemy, you must not fight them on their terms. The Mongols arrive in 1258. The Mongol Empire launched its first invasion of Vietnam. The Mongol army expected an easy victory. They had never lost to a smaller nation before. But Vietnam did not fight directly. Under Tran Hung Zao's strategy, the Vietnamese forces retreated, avoided direct confrontation, and used scorched earth tactics. Food was hidden, villages were evacuated. The enemy was left hungry, tired, and confused. Eventually, the Mongols were forced to retreat. Vietnam had survived its first test, preparing for the greatest threat. Tran Hung Zhao knew the Mongols would return, and he was right. Before the second invasion, he wrote one of the most important military texts in Vietnamese history, Hich Tuong Si, the proclamation to the officers. In this document, he did not threaten his soldiers. Instead, he spoke to their honor, responsibility, and love for the homeland. He reminded them that losing the country meant losing everything. His words united the army. They were no longer fighting for a king, they were fighting for Vietnam itself. The second invasion. In 1285, the Mongols returned with a much larger force. This time, the danger was far greater. Once again, Tran Hung Zhao avoided direct confrontation. He let the enemy advance deep into the country. The Mongol supply lines grew long and weak. Vietnamese forces attacked suddenly, then disappeared. The heat, the unfamiliar terrain, and the lack of food began to destroy the invaders. Finally, the Mongol army collapsed. Vietnam had won again. But the greatest battle was still to come, the Battle of Bac Giang. In 1288, the Mongols launched their third invasion. They believed this time would be different. Tran Hung Zhao prepared his final strategy. He chose the Bac Giang River. This river had the strong tides that rose and fell each day. Under the water, Vietnamese soldiers secretly planted wooden stakes tipped with iron, hidden beneath the surface. Tran Hung Giao waited patiently. When the tide was high, the Mongol fleet sailed into the river. Vietnamese forces pretended to retreat. The enemy followed. Then the tide began to fall. Suddenly, the Mongol ships became trapped. The hidden stakes pierced their hulls. Vietnamese forces attacked from all sides. Fire, arrows, and chaos filled the river. By the end of the day, the Mongol fleet was destroyed. The Mongol Empire never attempted to invade Vietnam again. Victory. Without revenge after the war, Tran Hung Giao did something remarkable. He did not seek power. He did not punish rivals. He did not claim the throne. Instead, he helped rebuild the country. He focused on peace, stability, and unity. When he died, the Vietnamese people honored him not just as a general, but as a protector of the nation. They called him Chúc Tran, Saint Tran. Even today, temples dedicated to Tran Hung Giao stand across Vietnam. Why his story still matters. Tran Hung Zao's story is not only about war, it is about leadership. It is about choosing the greater good over personal desire. It is about understanding that true strength does not come from numbers or weapons, but from wisdom, unity, and moral courage. A small nation survived because one man chose to place his country above himself. That is why his story still lives on. That is why the world should remember his name. A quiet reflection. In a world that often celebrates power and conquest, Tran Hung Giao reminds us of something deeper. The greatest victories are not those won through force alone, but those won through restraint, intelligence, and unity. And sometimes the strongest leaders are those who choose not to rule,